has been popped.
Yeah, that
Hey, Fluffy!
Oh, hey, there we go.
now.
We have a fluffy sheep, aka Bright.
My internet is actually allowing me to perceive people today.
Oh my.
No, but yeah, we ended up going through Hellraiser 1, and he managed to muscle through it, so there we go.
Yeah.
Powered through.
Now you got to watch some aliens and some other things too, and
Alien sounds fun though.
Yeah,
Alien sounds fun.
This is I'm looking for stuff that's a bit of an endurance test. Because, you know, it's kind of like when you're eating spicy food, like some people are just like on that mild spice, but in order to like build up to the point where you can end up handling a ghost pepper, you kind of need to go a little bit beyond banana pepper first. That's kind of where we're at. So, right now we're trying to build up to Carolina Reaper. So we started off soft and we ended up going into Hellraiser.
Yep. Which was really cool. Actually, because the corpse guy was like a really good, like, thought-provoking Nosferatu looking guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, ooh.
Frank. Yeah. The best part is when you first see him like coming out of the floorboards. I'm not sure if you picked up on this, Coffee Cat, but what that was is they actually made an entire wax marionette and then put it in front of a bunch of heaters, then just reversed the footage. So that's why you saw him like all the fleshy bits kind of regenerating, what have you. That's just wax melting in reverse.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I like special effects. I love special effects stuff.
This is the first step on a journey of 1,000 corpses, my friend.
Yeah.
In fact, there's even one movie that'll just give you 1,000, and then after that, I don't know. You watch Event Horizon or something.
Frank from Hellraiser really reminded me of Screw from Detroit.
You're not far off.
I was like, that's the image that I have for Screw for Detroit.
So, advice for all you who play D&D or Vampire or any of this: when your DM, GM, ST references a movie or a book or some other form of media, it may not be a bad idea if you read it, watch it, listen to it, because you'll notice. You might notice some interesting connections, which will give you a good insight into how things
I can drink now.
may play out, or you know, you get that sort of like a more visceral, because you're like, oh, I think I'm getting this character or the direction where the story's going here. So for me, like I'm a big old weeaboo, and so you're gonna find anime stuff throughout this. We're 83 sessions in. If you haven't found an anime reference here or there, then I don't know what to tell you. Also,
I
Dark
try not
Wolf.
to direct reference. I try to be a little bit more visually descriptive.
The big thing for me is when you end up looking at scenes like what I tormented Coffee Cat with. It's trying to think about that scene, what you saw, and then trying to figure out how do I describe this
Describe that in words. Yeah.
That gets a person to react in the exact same way as though they just saw this scene.
That way you're not just catering to people who've seen that media, but you're catering to all audiences, because you're describing with the words the scene, and some people might get it, and other people will be like, no, that's just a thing that they said.
Well,
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Me?
You are. Yeah, you are. I mean, you stepping up to run Vampire and all that. All right, but anyway.
What is with you praising me all week?
Yeah,
me too.
Because I know what horror does to you, and I know that body horror bugs you the most. So, getting you to start climatizing to that at the enough to at least be able to watch like a casual style of the medium to start using your STing is huge. It is a huge step. And I'm always excited to end up watching somebody who's really easy to make squirm and have them watch an old classic.
I mean, you're not wrong. I've not had enough influences so far to do the actual horror of VTM, so this may be a little bit of a jumping point.
See? Trust in Derek, he won't leave you wrong.
Well, look, coffee. All I can say is, jump on in. The black abyssal waters are just fine.
Yeah. Everybody just go quiet.
I
just
was quiet because I was putting in some music here.
The funny thing about that is that I always think I'm gonna always think that when everybody goes quiet, that it's my Discord derping. So.
Yeah, because of how Discord's
It was a conspiracy the whole time.
But it hasn't derped for like half an hour, so I'm good. I think.
Well, and you know what? If it does, we'll roll with it. But until then, we're gonna have fun. We're gonna play some D&D after the sort of needed, not wanted but needed downtime for me this past week and getting things done. And as you can see too, Jaden Stillwaters has an office. This is maybe a little bit fancier than what I had described, but I mean what I was looking for. Unfortunately, sort of a lot of offices or detective, whatevers have things like telephones and fans and, electricity. And so,
about like 40s detectives.
Yeah, just sort of like 20s through 40s kind of noir
era detectives.
So I had to do a lot of searching, and this was the one I was happiest with. So Jaden's office does have some books and shelves, a rather nice desk because Jaden hasn't necessarily asked for fancy stuff, but it seems that Miss Crumb has been wanting to at least make sure that if she's going to have a private investigator here, that that she's classy, and so you have the. You have a nice kind of a leather chair there. Of course, somewhere in here too is that speaking tube that was used, and some chairs, couches for you all to enjoy. And probably here would be that door that has the frosted glass and kind of written backwards. I didn't have time to draw or modify this, so it says that it is what it is. As well. We have the lobby of the Wild Cherry, which has a lot of red and black motif, even in the wood. A play of light and shadow as it's been revamped. New decor has been brought in. There is a nice roaring fireplace. Though something you will see here as well would be that there are these pipes that are being installed going through the lobby as well. As you'd seen that there are pipes that are being input into a lot of different buildings as well in preparation for what's to come. So we have a couple scenes here in the Wild Cherry, and then of course if any of you do need to retire to a private suite, we still have the same kind of the old it's what it was before the hotel. It was a nice, grander, fancier, but it kind of fallen into mismanagement and hard times, which is probably why Miss Crumb was able to wheedle or swindle it, or just maybe even somehow finagle it out of the old owner. But you still have some nicer suites that are roomier and don't just look like, a wooden cube with, a pile of hay and stuffed in a sheet for you to flop down on. So we do have this, and where we're discussing options. Of course, you all were in the investigator's office. You were comparing notes, and then of course Miss Mercury had walked in. I can almost imagine, right? I know it's anachronistic, even though we're talking D&D here, but I almost picture her as that kind of coming in. She didn't have like the big kind of floppy hat at an angle, but I can almost picture that, walking in kind of the one dress. There were magical shenanigans, of course, and she's much better dressed than kind of a like a more of a Jessica Rabbit with the big floppy hat coming in. Oh, private detective, like what we're used to. But it's still fun to think about. In an alternate Mesomasca, then this is what had happened. But here, because of magical shenanigans on behalf of Bright, who gave a bunch of people new hats and boots and a foot of growth or shrinkage, or turning people's eyes purple or whatever. Miss Mercury had stepped in a puddle of magic. It turned her boots for her otherwise almost like school marm, very smart. It was smart attire. However, it kind of gave her some boots that would kind of make your eyebrows raise because they were quite leathery, strappy, and had a wah wah wee wah sort of a style to them. And there, you had learned that she'd been helping out with the magical research at the tower. She's like, well, I got some odd stuff. Maybe you can come by. You went by the tower, and sure enough, at the tower, there were some tieflings that needed to be scooted along, and one of them was scooted not just along, but through the wall. And then a creature had just sort of phased through the wall into the public area. And you all acted quickly to put it down. Unfortunately, it did end the lives of some bystanders. And then you saw in the cleanup phase of this encounter, while you're trying to tend to people, look for clues and answers, Bambardalus, the human, was running across the plaza with his two twin sons, Glenn and Gary, who had this Janus effect where they were like half human and half tiefling. Mordecai, yours is spread all around. I mean, you're half tiefling, but I mean, you got like a little bit everywhere.
And half human.
They are half, and so one has the left horn, one has the right horn. So it's, if you could cut them in half and swap them around, and then you'd get like a full tiefling and a full human kind of a thing. So yeah, Glenn and Gary and their son Bambardalus dashed across, and Bambardalus was able to penetrate the wall in some way, and also said something rather naughty while he was running in there, and he seemed to be rather upset at things that were happening. So wherever he came from, who knows? But you know where he went. Maybe he can take care of himself. He has been living as a lumberjack for a while, and before that, I don't know. He was helping to collect souls on behalf of his patron. So, maybe he knows what he's getting into. His sons might be prepared a little bit as well. Still, it's up to you all about what you're going to do. And I think we concluded with an initial investigation into the clues that were sort of seeded in before and are coming to light, where there's a silver key that said Von Alle, which is an old Shadahar name, and of course this is a Grimhilder Von Alle is someone you have encountered in your comings and goings, who was a fellow malcontent or a magic wielder, an addict or something. I don't know. She was kind of cray-cray. Who's rolling with Noralai's brother, Lokiadius. And Lokiadius, of course, is supposedly answering a higher calling, except he's trying to avoid it by keeping himself in a drug state. So you have kind of an abusive manipulator who's not afraid to, kill a bunch of lumberjacks and, install demons into their skin suits and send them out to try and take care of something. And then, of course, you have a drug-addled Loki, and it would seem that both of them were caught in the explosion that revealed the Flaming Tower, thus breaking off one of Loki's horns, and a bunch of kids found it, and that's what they were kind of giggling over when then Investigator Jacob Stillwaters encountered them and kind of scooted them along and took the horn as evidence. So, dun dun dun, things that happened before are brought back up, and the cycle continues, and the story continues, and clues and such are hither and thither for you all to interact with as you please. And so we'll pick up here with, what do you want to say? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? You have a couple teleportation circles.
Yeah. I think we should go back to the investigator's office and very quickly discuss the evidence that we have.
We can't discuss that here. It kind of looks like things are heating up. Maybe not quite literally, maybe quite literally.
Things are heating up quite a bit, but the thing is, we don't know how to get through that wall. Currently. We don't know how to get through that.
Yeah. How do we... That's the biggest question. How do we do that?
We could have a think, but I think whilst we do that, I would like to have a little rest. Unfortunately, attacking that thing all out, drained me a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't
I think
have
we can
to go anywhere, really.
do other things while you do that. If you really
Of
need to
course
rest
it
right
had
now.
to be the casters.
You're dealing with two
not-
at least.
It's not the fact that I'm a caster, it's the fact that I'm an older man, and unfortunately older men need rest more often.
Well, I altered reality. I need a nap.
I'm probably twice your age, and I'm not really all that tired.
It's not even a nap. It's
I'm
not
alright to
even a
keep
nap, it's
going.
just a...
If I might
Keep
point
investigating.
out,
Yes.
the truth of the matter is that the entire town has been tapping this wall and what's behind it as a reserve heat to end up sending heat throughout the rest of the region. Implying that somebody has, on a engineering level, already cracked the code.
They might have
So-
physically gotten past the wall, but what about that portal?
I mean, the wall was built. It wasn't magically summoned. So whoever built the wall could have easily put the block on the wall. Doesn't tell us that.
Wahoo.
Did it
That
look
is
like
wrong.
a portal, or did it look like the actual bricks moved, Matty?
I know it's only been a few minutes, but for some reason I can't quite remember if like what we found when we tried to match up the key with the wall and all that.
It wasn't really a portal, or at least nothing that would be like a teleportation circle with, you know, some special effects, or sort of like what we've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with a bunch of sparks flying around as like you're flinging a sparkler around. They just kind of merged out of or into the wall without really too much fanfare. I think
no dust like a dimension door or anything like that.
there's nothing that was an obvious visual effect to it. They just seemed to go into or out of this wall. I think I did describe kind of a waviness, like heat, that was a part of the into and out of. But this wasn't like I don't know. You open your window and there's a beautiful sea breeze coming up from the harbor, or even like you open it up and there's a hellish landscape that stretches for miles beyond you, breaking your mind because it's just a brick wall. It was just this thing came out of the wall to snatch up the person, and then ultimately, you know, like walk out. And
Same with Ben Bartolus.
Ben Bartolus, Glenn, and Gary just sort of ran, but Ben Bartolus was holding something out in front of him, kind of like leading the charge, and that might have been some kind of a key
catalyst.
or an attunement or a spell component or whatever, a focus.
Right. So I remember that I had done an identify spell, but I don't remember what it came back with.
The identify spell
Yeah, I was
on
trying
where
to
they
identify the spot.
disappeared.
Yeah, I identified the spot on the wall.
The wall. Oh, it the wall itself didn't come back as magical, but I treated it kind of like an expanded detect magic. And while you didn't really get there was no like lingering like active spell that was going to come back, you ended up getting a little bit of a taste of what was it? Conjuration magic, I believe.
Okay. So not really anything surprising in the results there. So they probably cast some kind of spell. And I was able to cast a sending to Bambardalis.
Yes.
And he responded and he said, "Don't follow us."
Yes.
So that's good news and bad news, because the bad news is he doesn't want us to follow us. But maybe he does want us to follow him, because that's how gnomes would take that. But also
Good
it
news.
means he didn't. Yeah, it also means he didn't leave the plane. He's still on this plane, so he's not
Right.
actually in hell. He must have gone you know,
Must have been
somewhere
somewhere
else.
else.
He could be around here still. Actually, that was probably the next thing I wanted to ask is if you have your locate creature handy. Let me see if I have mine. I don't know.
I always have it handy.
That's a good point. Let me see if I have mine handy, because I don't remember. I'm trying to remember if I remember that spell. It looks like I don't remember it right now.
I think that's one that we chose that I would take as always on. So I could do that. If I could locate a creature, if you want me to. See if I can locate Ben Bartle.
It might be worth trying just to see if he's close enough still.
If he's close, and I can keep looking for him for an hour. So I am going to actually do that. What? I'm locate creature on Ben Bartolus.
Okay.
So yeah, if he's within 1,000 feet of me and anywhere else I go for the next hour, then he'll pop up on my radar.
All right. Well, let's see. You did get to know Bambardalus well enough, and you did get a true enough name that that could be used as fuel for the spell.
Yeah, under the spells thing, it would be a specific Bambardos would be a specific creature known to Mordecai.
Yeah.
And while he's focusing on that, I'm gonna take a short rest because going in there without Hexblade's Curse would probably be a bad idea considering what came out of the wall.
Yeah, I mean, we could all benefit from it.
That was my idea. Is just take a short rest. Don't need a long one.
So here's the thing, though. There's 4 corpses over there, and my experience with this particular area, by which I mean this particular tower, is that even 1 corpse isn't really that great to be associated with. So my recommendation would be that we go somewhere else before we start resting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously authority figures that are coming in here, medical people, police, and members of the Faith of Ouijas here to explore what happened and such. Okay, so as you are locate creature is not returning a location to you, Mordecai.
And I can concentrate on it for an hour. So
Okay.
if we're moving.
Yep.
Then if he pops up on my radar within 1,000 feet of me, anywhere I move for the next hour, then it'll pop up.
Okay.
And that's what I intend to do.
All right. So we're concentrating, and then is there anything else then beyond trying to detect Bambardalus with this spell? That are you retiring back to the Wild Cherry? Do you want to go to the Tumbled Wench? Do you want to go to, I don't know, a park? Where would you like to go to do this? You can just walk around for a while. You know, short rest could just be, I don't know, getting a coffee somewhere.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Yeah, let's go get a coffee somewhere.
Coffee sounds good.
Okay.
And, you know, whilst we're doing that, we can talk about the pieces of the puzzle that we have and see if we can't fit them together. Because that's a good thing about a short rest, is that you can do mental work whilst short resting. It's a light activity.
All right. So yeah, it's light activity. You can go, and I don't even need to switch scenes here because we just go from the top ruinous disaster of panic and death, and we just go to a nice, pleasant picture of clearly not Paris beneath it. And so we have the quainter streets of Mask of Horns. Of course, there's the burning tower in the distance, and you can find a local cafe. In fact, heck, Bright, this might have been where. Well, I'm sorry, Mrs. Wickerbottom. This is where you had first encountered Quotine when it was being brought out. This is a very like a nouveau cafe that is looking to please the wealth that's coming in. So we can say you come back here, and you know there's still horses and carriages. There's people talking in the streets as you're walking away. Although I will say in this instance, because you were directly involved in the incident, if Investigator Stillwaters would like to at least take a little bit of time, maybe while you're casting spells and investigating, to talk with the officials, that would mean probably that you're not going to need to be detained or to get a statement because you're being vouched for. Is this something that Investigator Stillwaters would like to do? I still do have the jail picture, so I mean, if you want, I can drag us all over there. Oh, do we have Jaden?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. If there's other investigation as well beyond just, because you would piece the parts together as well, the part about the broken horn.
Yeah. But I got nothing to add.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, if not to add, then is it safe to presume then that you can prevent everyone from being detained and questioned if you just talk with them?
Probably. But it's going to take a mountain of paperwork.
Oh, of course. In triplicate, even.
Where do I start?
You know what? At least, Jaden, in that armor has really good wrist support. So if you're ever feeling like, you're like, oh, I got a mountain of paperwork, just put that full plate on, and you'll have a nice wrist brace, and you can just. All right. So some time will pass. You end up at a local, at one of the local places. They have a variety of cheeses and other things for you to nibble on and to sip. A short rest is completely doable in this time, and beyond any chatter that you all would like to, yeah. If any of you need to spend hit dice, and by the way, Mordecai, I know you have Song of Rest as well. So how many hit points would that give also on top of Jaden?
That just updated, I think.
Jaden pouring, not sipping on like tea or coffee, but sort of like pouring the soothing right into the wounds. It's
and another 8 for anyone who uses Song of Rest.
There you go.
I think it's a D10. I'm fairly certain
It is a D10.
So.
I believe it's a D10.
Yeah, Mordecai's got those big boy dice.
Ooh, and I get my inspiration back.
Yep.
Yes, you do. Yep, Song of Rest is D10.
Yep.
Goes to D12 at 17.
Alright, so what are our thoughts regarding this as far as their portal into wherever they went? Because this...
I will say, I'm sorry, real quick, Miss Mercury is here, and so I will be playing the part of Miss Mercury. If you have particular questions for her, I will do my best to answer them.
Now, here's a question. Do we have... Investigator, do you still have that horn that you picked up?
Pretty sure somewhere around here.
My thought is that... He, there's probably like a napkin. And he carries an ink pot and quill with him. Pretty much all the time. He pulls it out and he starts drawing something. It's like, we have a key. Key doesn't work. From what we saw of those two, the tiefling and the two very, very odd tiefling boys, they had something in their hands, some kind of attenuation.
Right, most spellcasters use a focus.
Yes, but I think it's a little more than that.
At least most spellcasters I know.
I've heard whispers that a rather crazy man was working on a way to transport to other places using a tuning fork, attuned to different places. And maybe the same kind of principle may be applied here. That we have a key, but the key is not attuned correctly. And that the key needs to be attuned before we might be able to use it to get through the wall.
I don't know if that makes sense because, I mean, the tuning forks, those are only for going to, like, really, really far away places. And he was able to respond to my message, to my sending spell. So he couldn't have gone to one of those places.
Well, I'm not saying that that he's gone to one of those places, but it could be that the area behind the wall, that's the kind of mechanism as to how that barrier works.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And that my theory is that, considering you said that that horn came from the scene, that you picked it up from some kids, yes, Investigator? Because if that
correct, yeah.
if that is the case, then maybe we might be able to use the horn to attenuate the key. The horn might contain the right energies to attenuate this key, so that we might be able to use it to open the lock.
Huh. Do you want me to...
Because Lokiaticus was at the blast radius, at the blast
Yeah.
point.
He was in the blast zone.
Do you want me to inspect it? I could take a look at it and see if I can figure out if it has the right magic in it.
Sure, yeah.
Shouldn't hurt.
Okay.
I'm guessing
that'll-
whoever has the key, because I don't think it's me. Whoever has the key can hand over the key to Bright. I'm pretty sure, Bright, you're actually the one with the key.
Well, I had the key, but I thought you meant the horn.
Oh, the horn. Yeah, no, we don't have the horn yet. We need to go get it.
Oh. Okay.
Because
we've already
Investigator, you don't have that
inspected
on
the
your
key.
person? Or is that somewhere else in evidence?
it was stored in evidence.
It was stored in evidence, Investigator?
I'm not sure what you're getting at, to be fair.
The horn. It was stored in evidence, yes?
The horn from
Loki's
the tiefling.
purple horn.
Yes, it would be considered an evidence.
I think
Unless
we
that
could
is-
go get it.
Yeah, well, hopefully somebody preserved it, otherwise it's going to be smelling.
I mean, it's a horn. It won't rot, will it? Mordecai, do tiefling horns go bad?
Bodies go bad, dear
Mine
Bright.
don't shed, so I don't know.
No, it wasn't
I thought they
shed,
were-
I can assure you of that.
I thought they were like fingernails, and they just, like, if you cut them and don't throw them away, they just kind of hang around. Kind of a key.
Uki sounds apt, I think.
We can say if through Miss Mercury or Mordecai here that tiefling horns, of course, can vary because there's different kinds. If there's enough horn that there's like a soft, spongy, almost like a bone marrow, then that will rot away. But the exterior of the horn will be like fingernails, will be more durable and brittle. So it might have if it wasn't cleaned out, it might have a bit of a funky core. But the external, the hard bit of the horn would presumably endure.
Well, the funky core is usually where the magic is. It's like the song "Funky Core Medina." So let's go. I mean, maybe we can go find it. Is that a thing? I mean, if it's hard to get to, I could send in Peggy Sue, or I have my little eye, my roving eye. Not that kind of roving eye. It's an actual eye that roves, and we could go look for it. Would that be useful?
If it would help us to get this key to work.
No. let's
We're kind of wanting to go after Bambardalis, right? Even though he said not to.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But he knows that that's not gonna help. He would have had to give us a much better explanation than that if he wanted us not to go after.
Right.
So, and
I don't
So, yeah.
intend to let him go in there alone anymore. Longer than he has to.
yeah. So let's see if we can go find that then. And yeah.
And we've been wanting to run into Grimhilder anyway.
Yeah, I think I have a bone to pick with her.
The horn? No, wait.
No, Lorelai's bone. I'd like to pick it with Grimhilder.
Wow. And
Pick her brain with it.
Let's see if we can get this key to work, because the longer he's in there by himself with his sons, the more in danger he is.
Okay.
Right.
So, as soon as the professor has finished his coffee, boy, does he really savor that coffee.
Yeah.
It's good coffee. But no, I am finished. Let us go.
Okay. I almost feel like I have an extra spell that I didn't have before, too.
All right. This is gonna go then from a street-side cafe to hitting the streets, or where's the destination that you want to?
To the evidence locker of the precinct in order to get
Heading to the precinct.
Okay. Jaden, this is something that'll be a lot more up your alley, especially as you're the one who turned it over, and you've also been weaving yourself into the local constabulatory. And so this would be.
Well, I do what I must.
I don't know, give me some sort of policeman roll at advantage. You tell me what it is. Is it an investigation? Is it persuasion?
Policeman. I didn't know that was a skill.
Yeah, I need a policeman skill at advantage from you. Investigate. There we go. All right. Nice too at a 23. My goodness.
That ironically is not that great of a roll. I mean, it's above 10. That's about it.
All right, so you go in and you know, you think that you're onto something here, or you're using whatever language to obtain it, and of course, you know, still being, you know, forthcoming as you are. I'm not gonna, you know, manipulate who you are to them, but you're saying the things that need to be said, and you're requesting for this evidence, and they go back and give it to you, and they say there's nothing really. No one's reported it missing. It's not a part of. I mean, it could be a victim, but no one has come forward to claim the body part. And it's, if you want it, if you think you can use it or return it to family, then you'd be doing us a service, because we're trying to do so many other things, and especially a lot of the people on shift right now have been moving out to the main road through town, going to the harbor, because the giant pipes are being flown in, and it's just going to be there's just going to be a lot of distraction going on in the city.
Well, in that case, if they're willing to take, if they're wanting us to take it off their hands, then far be it from us to deny them. You know.
Fair enough.
And
so then we should go somewhere to see if we can figure out what kind of magic is needed to attune the key.
yes.
Yeah. I just need 11 minutes.
While you all are waiting for Jaden to make this exchange, those of you who are waiting, I mean, even in the lobby, or if you want to wait outside, in either case, you're still going to be able to hear this. Jaden, as you're in the middle, you're more of in the middle of a police station, surrounded by other people making noises and having conversation. But you do hear a very familiar buzzing sound kind of just a constant vibration in the air above the station, and kind of looking outside the couple windows that are in the lobby. There's people who are looking up, little kids like, oh, and there are some just shadows that are slowly moving over the city.
All Shadahar ships.
I don't like them. I don't like Shadahar ships.
Well, functional, at the very least.
They're spooky. They're powered by ghosts.
And to make things even weirder, they're also emitting kind of a weird howl sound, kind of a breathy sound as well. If you want to go outside and take a look, you're welcome to. But in addition to, Mordecai, especially you, being the perception monkey of the group, but also having been aboard one of these ships, you do hear that familiar buzzing. But there is something else that is making a sound as well.
And it's almost as if Mordecai starts muttering something to himself too.
Oh.
He's just muttering.
Are you okay, Mordecai?
Just something that happened on the last Shadahar ship I was on.
Yeah, well, we don't have to get on board these ships. We can stay away from them.
Nope, I don't want to go anywhere near him.
Shall I, whilst you wait for this to happen, shall I go outside and take a look?
Yeah, if you want.
If you want to.
Don't let them take you away.
Yeah.
That usually leads to a lot of trouble.
Of course not.
Yeah. Celine and I were on one of those ships.
So I poke my head outside to see what's going on.
All right, you see about a dozen airships that are lined up and proceeding in a slow, buzzing pace, going over the city, and suspended beneath them are large pipes. And from here, about 10 feet in diameter, maybe 10 in a gnome. And they are being moved from where you're at. Given the direction, they would be going towards the tower, and you can even see that a couple are going past the tower, out towards the port area of the city.
Okay. So it just looks like some pipe deliveries. About 10 in a gnome wide, these pipes.
Make a perception.
Yep. I can make a perception.
And make a history at advantage.
History at advantage.
So 19
Oh,
perception.
that's a 25.
25. All right.
If
When
not
you're
perception,
looking at
25.
these pipes, Professor, a pipe is a pipe no matter where you're at. Though, as you're examining this, and with your specialty these large pipes bear the markings not of a maker here in Mesomasca, let alone Mesotopia, but just there's something in the not really a maker's mark, but just the
Like a manufacturing mark.
yeah, either a manufacturing mark or there's something about the technique which they're made. And of course, before we were starting the game, we're talking about hey, the more you learn about stuff, you can incorporate it into your game. So in this case, I don't know much about. In modern times, I don't even think we use metal pipes. It's all cement stuff for sewers and for municipal water and whatever. But the design, and most likely, in your reckoning, that these large pipes were made in Shadahar and have been brought here from the Northeastern Empire. And we're talking look, The Shadahar are going to be laying a lot of pipe here in port. So,
yeah. I mean, I just imagined that this 10 and a gnome measurement for Shadahari pipes is probably a standard.
Well, not so much a gnome. That's kind of a Mesotopian sort of like it's like a little bit like a couple bucks and change. It's like 10 and a gnome. It's just it's that rounding. It's a nice round number.
A gnome being a scientific unit equals a 3 point. Just a smidgen over 3.
Yeah, yeah, sure. in some way, a gnome is a scientific unit, but it's also an estimated one. It's a weird dichotomy of...
Just putting that there.
I'm just remembering this whole conversation for later, just so you know.
Do you have the feet for it? And if so, no one say anything for a month and she'll forget. It falls out the ear. It's really weird.
The professor nods and heads back inside. And he's just like, the Shadahar are delivering some rather large pipes, 10 and a gnome in size.
All right.
Shadahari made, which would be important. As in, they were made in Shadahar and flown over.
That's a long way to fly.
Yes, especially since they have some going towards the tower and others going towards the port. It looks like these must be the main arterial pipes.
They plan on laying a lot of groundwork then. Must
They
be
plan on
wanting
laying a
to
lot of-
rip up streets then.
Or they could be planning to transfer the heat or the hot water outside the city too. I don't know how long were the pipes?
How long were the pipes? Are they, like, are we talking, like, because they're being flown, are we talking, like, mile-long pipes, or are we talking...
Not mile-long. Now, the amount that you see here would just be, like, a first wave if it's to go from the tower. And really, if it's going to go towards a source of water, it would have to go to the... It'd have to go to the port, like to the bay area there. So what you're seeing, I don't know, I'd say 10 long. So we'll say that they're about 30 foot long segments. So certainly, like, I mean, these are big and heavy pipes here, but you're going to need more than about a dozen 30-foot segments to get from the tower to the closest source of water.
It looks like they're bringing in waves of pipes to lead it out to the water, which I could understand, I suppose, to in order to capitalize upon the source of heat, you need to have something that the heat can affect, and normally that's water.
Like boilers.
Yeah, like a boiler.
Matty, is there a river that runs through this town, or is it just by the seaside?
This does have a river that is running through it, yes.
Okay. So that's probably, I mean, that would be, my guess is that's where they would deploy the pipes, would be to the river, so that they would not have to pump the water.
Don't have to deal with salt water either.
Exactly right.
Why does this all feel wrong?
Well, I mean, because of the fact that, aside to the fact that they are tapping into an unholy source of magic in order to make steam, to, create the world's largest boiler.
That part is obviously strange. Just a thought. Just a Mesoamerican native not liking other people encroaching on territory that isn't theirs.
And the extra sort of howling or humming was the wind going through the pipes that were being carried underneath the airship.
Yes.
Oh, maybe they're just making a really, really big pipe organ. That would be okay.
Extra
I
nefarious
doubt
music.
That's incredibly optimistic.
I try.
As per Bright, yes.
That just depends. Does the Church of Ouija punish demonic chords?
They wouldn't think
not
so.
know. Not know. But as soon as we get that worn, we can.
Of course, as long as the pipes are hanging from those ships, they can only play suspended chords.
Very true. Very true.
And I guess we don't have musicians here. Okay.
You're very airy
Not a bard
notes.
in real life.
Not an actual magician or musician.
I mean, I am.
Okay.
It was worth a try. It was worth a try.
I
Fluffy.
giggled. I giggled.
Okay. Okay.
But no, this is rather interesting.
Interesting as it might be.
I suppose it reminds me a little bit of the capital city, Shadahar.
You've been there?
You've been there?
I've seen pictures and aerial shots. Haven't actually been there. Would like to go. It is an interesting place. He kind of just turns to Mordecai and he goes, "Their cultural differences aside, it's never a good idea to close off your mind to new things."
I don't know. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. Maybe.
No, Mordecai, you're not old-fashioned. You're feeling threatened. Because they threaten to overtake your way of life, which is very much understandable. It's not something that I stand for either.
I mean,
Culture should be able to stand side by side.
not overtaken.
Yes.
And looking at this city, he kind of just looks out the window. This doesn't look like Mask of Horns anymore.
It might not. But the thing is, they're an army. And unfortunately in these times when you have hundreds of men, thousands of men at your command, it allows you to do what you want.
Oh, we're gonna get annexed.
Most likely. But the culture, Mordecai, is in here. You keep that fire alive and it won't die. I'm sure Bright would understand what I'm talking about, as Uctian culture is exceptionally different to the rest of Mesotopia. And I'm sure she carries a little bit of it with her wherever she goes.
I mean, if you mean, like, did I bring dirt with me from Uct? Then no, I didn't.
No, I mean the concepts of your culture, not actual dirt.
Well, I mean, everybody does that, right? I mean, you're always from wherever you're from. Although that does remind me that, I mean, if this whole putting out the tower doesn't pay off, we can always go back to Uct and, you know, kill those blorp monsters. Just putting that out there.
That's entirely fair.
I don't.
I think that's actual erasure that we're thinking about there. Monsters.
While
Yeah,
you were
it
discussing
turns out we're
this-
actually pretty good at killing monsters. I mean, we killed that whatever it was pretty quickly. Okay, what was that?
Oh,
we did.
Was somebody about to notice something?
Yes. Well, no,
Sorry.
not really. This is while you are discussing, Miss Mercury goes over to Investigator Stillwater's and taps her on the shoulder. Investigator, there's something that I can discuss with you that may pertain to this. However, I need to bring it up with you personally.
Very well then. And Jane, she just starts walking towards the door.
Okay. So the orange tiefling school marm, and the not orange, not tiefling, not school marm go walking out. And so Jaden, when you are, I mean, she's not like pulling you into like a super like, we got to go in an alleyway and kind of squat behind the crate to like whisper in each other's ears kind of a thing. But she just pulls you aside politely and discreetly. I wanted to bring this up with you because this could involve you directly. When there was that surge, that magical pressure that was accompanying the tower, that thing I was describing, I thought that it had felt familiar. And I think that depending on the course that you wish to take, it could be that horn that you have from evidence, it could be the key, that silver key. I may be able to use that mark that I took from the armor, as when I was removing it, I felt its vibration. I felt its... I don't know how to describe it to you.
Mumbo jumbo is what you're describing.
Yes, the mumbo jumbo from that mark felt the same as the mumbo jumbo from the tower. And I may be able to use that as well in order to find a way to resonate. In other words, I can mumbo jumbo your way in by using the mark, I think. But I wanted to bring it up because it may end up turning your armor itself into the key. And if you're the one in it, you should know. But you might be able to just be the one to escort them through.
If you believe it can be done. Kind of studying the language, their body language, trying to get a...
Sure.
Am I getting the full story here? I don't know. It's been people bumping, saying one thing, and then another, and 1,001 concerns.
I mean, she's using mumbo jumbo. Like, after you brought that up, she's not doing it in a patronizing fashion, though you can tell that there's more detail to what she's saying. You know, she's not necessarily trying to deceive you.
I'm more concerned about the intent. Like, could there be a secondary intent? Or is this a maneuver that might open up a second avenue that's not being discussed here?
There is reservation in her tone. Not duplicitousness in it. There's certainly more that can be said. Given the context, maybe she'll say it elsewhere unless you just give her outright permission. But she is making this initial proposal to you that you could end up being made into the key, or at least the armor that you have could end up being the key in. And there's coulds and maybes and that are strewn in there.
And you felt the need to have me pulled aside for this.
I don't want them to think that perhaps you are somehow nefarious, or that you had endangered yourself in some reckless manner if it links you to this burning thing in the middle of the city. I was trying to be polite.
I appreciate your candor, but I suppose that stepping aside for private conversations as such would end up doing just the same.
Oh.
Present your discussion to them. Whatever the group decides, I will abide. After all, I'm here to perform a service.
I can certainly do that. If we want to go back to your office, or if there's some other place where I'm used to working with maybe writing implements, slate boards and chalk, things like that.
It will be brought to you in short time.
Are you returning to the Wild Cherry then?
I think that's best for the best.
Then I shall get my special bag, and I will meet you in the lobby.
Returning back to the group.
She gives a curtsy, but as she does, you see those like shiny black leather boots with all the buckles and straps. That's just in blaring contrast to her school marm attire, and and she kind of, oh well, if you've ever seen an orange tiefling blush, and then she puts her long skirt back down, and she ends up sauntering off.
Wow. Curiouser and curiouser. When I returned to the group, I informed them of, our benefactor's proposal. I'm willing to go along with it, so long as it ends up getting us inside, so long as it gets us closer to a truth.
As long as it doesn't endanger you.
Yeah, or all of us. I don't want to burn to death. Ironically.
I mean, that's ideal.
It's ideal to not burn to death.
Exactly.
How quaint.
Burning to death would be suboptimal.
Quite. But does she think that she can do it without endangering all of us in the process? I mean, as soon as we go in there, we're facing danger, but...
Mr. Silverleaf, if you allow me to make this perfectly clear. I ended up here coming on to the job knowing full well that the job itself was dangerous from the get-go. I was under no delusions that I would end up seeing retirement as a guarantee. It was just as likely I would end up going in a bus that gone wrong, beaten to death by a bunch of hoodlums with nothing more than hair clubs who wanted to end up taking each chunk out of the man. You, each of you, has made the decision to go on as adventurers, to create tales of old, or to simply do what's right, or for your own personal games or leisure, or your own study, wealth, notoriety, whatever you call it. But you've all made that decision long before we got to this point. To end up worrying about people staying safe now is a little redundant in backtracking. You've already lost enough.
I have.
We all have. So, you can make the choice, the safe route. I'm sure that in time you could take a ship, go across the ocean, find a nice person to settle down with, go far away from all of this, and live out the rest of your existence in a merriment of bliss as you put this all behind you. But that option was there for you from the start, and not one of you has taken it since you arrived. How is this any different?
That option was never there for me. Probably wasn't there for Mordecai either.
I have no idea.
I wanted to settle down long ago. And she died.
Yes. So, with that in mind, and after all, Bright said it so aptly, burning to death would be suboptimal. Trust her word, she's probably the most experienced out of us all.
It's true. But we don't have to keep bringing it up.
Then let's get it done.
Yeah.
As long as you're okay with it, let's get it done.
But I'm okay with it. It has nothing to do with the current issue. Anyway, the tools are gathering,
Gee.
and we will be here in getting all that we need, hopefully to end up producing the effects that you so want. Get behind the wall, and, well, let come what may.
Getting behind the wall has been the #1 thing that I wanted to do ever since the tower sprouted up, really. I just know what it can do, and that's why I want to be just a little more careful than usual. Okay, speaking of out of character, who was it that pulled Jaden aside? Was it Miss Crumb or was it,
Miss
Spectre? Miss Mercury? Okay.
Miss Mercury.
Yeah, okay. Okay, just making sure.
You can tell the difference by the accents, I know. Otherwise, it's difficult with that luscious beard.
Though speaking of pulling Investigator Stillwater's aside, Investigator, you are a popular person today. As you're talking here, you know, maybe you're leaving the precinct where you ended up getting this this defunct evidence. Hey, ain't you you Investigator Boulder, right? A woman's voice calls out to you.
Turn. Who
It's
is this?
it's the very sassy barmaid from before.
Ah. Yes, well, fact of the matter, did you come offering a chance to win more coin, madam?
Oh, nah. I was gonna go to talk to the police, but I'd rather talk to you if I can help it.
Do what I can.
Yeah,
Still technically police, just so you know.
Boulder? Nah, Boulder ain't police. Not any more than Bench Slayer or Puddle Drinker is.
Some interesting friends you've made.
That's Silverleaf. Don't ask him how he got that name.
Hey, looks sparkly like a silver leaf.
Yeah, he enjoys a bit of the mercury, if you know what I mean.
You drink it?
Shh. What can I do for you?
Oh, well, I was just going to come down to report that we're getting a little bit more business than usual than what the boys can normally handle. And we actually might need some proper authorities to come down and just help take a little bit of the edge off. But I don't know, maybe you'd be willing to come down instead. I'd hate to bother the locals here because they're busy doing other things, and frankly, they got better things to do than worry about a dive like the one we're at.
Please, your establishment has ended up holding up well enough, and Bench Slayer is, well, more muscle than brains, but right now you do the thinking for him. So he's in good hands.
Well, you know, it is what it is. Anyway, she's kind of, like, she's not being dodgy, but she's just sort of like,
Yeah, whatever. Well,
anyway, I got some work for you. If you're looking for it, you might end up with a busted lip, but hey, who hasn't gotten one down at the dive? We could really use the help.
Right now I am going to be occupied for the next several hours, but if I'm back safe from the trip, then I might just take you up on it. I think I can use the simplicity of my life of throwing out rowdy patrons.
Oh, that'd be great. Well, look, it's been brewing for a while. It ain't gonna go away anytime soon, so if you gotta take a trip, you gotta take a trip. You know what? I told him at least I'd come down to the police office and make an attempt. I made an attempt. I think I did everything in good faith. Now I can go back and make some more money.
Here, if he pulls aside and takes a ink quill out, just kind of licks it to kind of dampen up the dried off ink. Just end up scratching in very poor pen. This officer here will be able to end up assisting you here and might be a little bit more sympathetic to your cause. More specifically, he just really enjoys dive bars to get away from the wife, places where she wouldn't think to look. So, it becomes in his best interest to end up keeping an establishment such as yourself on the up and up.
Well, now you ain't saying that, you know, that I gotta give a little pinch and tickle for the services.
No, it's just enough that it doesn't get so much attention that it gives him a chance off shift to be able to end up going to a place where his wife's not going to catch him.
Gotcha. I mean, look, the dive is a lot of places, but it ain't that type of place. And I put up with a bunch of that anyway. I don't need any more.
You do it well.
Ah, well, hey. You ain't half bad. You half good, you ain't half bad. I don't know what that makes you. We're never too good at math. I always round things to the closest gnome anyway.
Yeah.
Probably makes him level neutral.
Well,
Sorry.
to be fair, I'm still figuring it out myself. Good day, man.
Yeah, and she looks around, and she double takes on you, Mordecai. I mean, you've seen her before. She was the waitress at the dive that you were sulking in when you got the soggy napkin. Well, you got the napkin before it was soggy. Yeah. Yeah. You just look a little familiar. Weren't you one of the... You ain't one of them weirdos that's been coming in, is you?
No. I'm Mordecai Silverleaf of the Chroma Company.
But you ain't a weirdo?
No.
Alright. Huh. Could have sworn I seen you before, but look, I ain't the type of person that what makes presumptions about folks just because they got, you know, horns and blue skin and a tail and, you know.
Allow me
to. Someone like me.
No, I mean no more than I've seen other tieflings. Y'all are a dime a dozen. I mean a silver piece a dozen. I don't mean that in a bad way. Y'all are all over the place. It's like going over to the other side of the island. There's humans crawling everywhere, like crickets, like roaches.
Well, crickets are nothing like roaches, just so you know.
Ah, they're bugs, ain't they?
I mean, okay.
But
very strange.
Racial sensitivity.
She's not a wizard.
Strange day today. Yeah. Very strange day today, indeed.
You were gonna say something, Jaden.
Yeah, Jaden, where are you?
People of Mask of Horns turned out to be a lot less enlightened than I thought they were.
We'll put you on the mean streets of the Mask of Horns here, since you're here. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jaden, were you saying something? Okay. So yeah, she looks around. I mean, she's obviously she's not going to wizard school anytime soon here. But yeah, well, things are strange. Only gonna get stranger. Anyway, take care of each other, huh? That's what we gotta do.
There.
Yes. Well, now that has happened, we need to prepare for this inevitable assault. Because that is what it is. It's an assault.
Shall we?
It doesn't have to be. Think of it as reconnaissance, potentially reconnaissance in force. But we're not so sure about the force.
This place is most likely full of demons, and I mean like actual bona fide will rip off your legs and use them to pick their teeth demons.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. We could always wait until tomorrow.
Ben Bartolus is
kind
of already.
That means he doesn't have a lot of time.
Okay, so you're right. You're right, of course.
We should prepare, figure out what it is that we're going to do, and then enter at our earliest convenience. Are we agreed in that little?
Yeah,
I'm agreed.
We can do that. I would be better off against demons tomorrow. Well, maybe we'll be in there for more than one day. Maybe that'll happen. Let's look on the bright side. Maybe we'll be fighting demons for several consecutive days.
I always have that tiny hut if we ever need to rest.
Yeah. You know, have you ever thought about what happens when you use that in a place where you're completely surrounded by demons? You'll wake up and you'll look out through the side of the dome and there'll just be demons everywhere and you'll be like, well, as long as we stay in here, we're safe, and then it runs out and then there's demons.
Thankfully, it doesn't really take much to cast it again.
Right.
Okay. I'm just worried about what we'll find in there. I wanted to close it, not go through and kill all the demons. They can stay on their side of the fire.
Staying on their side.
There's only one thing that I can share with you in this time, right? And I would tell you that it's by far from the worst thing that I've woken up to, if that were to happen.
What's the worst thing you've woken up to?
You do not want to know.
I'm rather curious now, actually.
Maybe Cypher and Bambardalus have more in common than we thought.
No. But when you delve through exceptionally old libraries like I do, you tend to stumble across some interesting things.
Yeah, I mean, I've fallen asleep in the library once in a while, too. And then I woke up and I was next to the same books as before. It wasn't really that bad.
Oh, I'm plowing a troll. The gods only know how the key fit the hole. I'm sorry, were you three saying something?
It's like... The investigator isn't incorrect.
Well, let's get going.
Yes. We shall, as you put it, get going. Oh boy.
Back to the wild cherry it is.
To the wild cherry it is to prepare.
Okay. So you enter the lobby. The lobby's a popular place for people to, not even those who are just staying here, but for maybe those who want to come in and grab some fare from the northeast. Little quasi cafe towards the end there is a popular place for people to be. Lots of lounging furniture, conversations about this or that. Walking through. There are people talking about some kind of a big show tonight from the airship fleet that's moving in the pipes, and that seems to be a rumor that there's some sort of a big show that's going to go on at night. But you still have, I mean, this is high summer here, so you have hours and hours of daylight left until you got to worry about that. But there's a general buzz. People are talking about the pipes. They're talking about what it could mean. Oh, the airships seem pretty cool. Maybe we could use them for other things. Hey, yeah, this food isn't so bad. It's a little different, but maybe I could get used to this. People talking about daily life stuff. And sure enough, there in the lobby, waiting politely and sipping on some tea, is Miss Mercury. She has a large leather bag that kind of snaps and closes together at the top. Has some heavy-duty handles. And it seems that her boots have returned to normal as she is sitting very properly. She has one leg over the other. It's a long skirt, but you can still see her boots dipping out from the bottom. And it seems that she has reverted. It hasn't been the 8 hours or whatever that. I think is an 8-hour duration on that spell, right?
Yeah.
Hasn't been the 8 hours, but she seems to have found a little bit of boot polish in order to get her old boots back. And she sets the tea down very properly and looks up at you all with her highlighter fluid yellow eyes and... Oh.
I'm on the same spell, so hopefully it hasn't worn off yet.
No.
Okay.
She's found a way to magically buff out her boots.
Oh.
You can
That's interesting.
inquire about that.
I might actually.
Then shall we go up to your office, investigator?
Yeah, let's get this done. We're burning daylight.
Yes.
Do you need any help with anything?
Don't know. I don't end up doing the voodoo thing.
Shall I come in?
We all might be able to
Supervise
help.
it.
Something?
If the investigator wishes you all to be a part of the planning,
All
of
right.
course.
said, we're the Chroma Company.
You go up the special stairs. It goes to the floor that seems to have some offices. Once more, there is a door that has an indoor window going to a hallway, and even the window itself has been frosted over. That's kind of a obscenely wealthy or wasteful. But this is Jaden's office. You walk inside. It's as you had left it, and for those of you then with magical inklings, which is, well, all of you, but even if Jaden doesn't want to admit it. But Jaden, you've seen this kit before as she very methodically begins taking things out of this big kind of doctor's bag. And you see, little trinkets, other things that would be like a notebook, possibly a spell book. You're seeing some satchels, some things that could be considered to be spell components. It's not in sort of like the Batman utility belt that a lot of adventuring wizards or other casters might wear, but she does seem to have things in a very sort of a discreet fashion. Bright. Maybe it's not how you'd sort your components, but, I
mean, everybody does their components differently.
Yeah, I mean, some might do it by color, by alphabet, and then depending on the language.
It's like loading the dishwasher.
Yeah. There you go. For all of you that play D&D, you can describe someone coming across a component belt, but then they can't use it because they don't know where like the bat guano is because it's different for every wizard. Yeah. So she takes some things out, and you all can nitpick her. She does seem to be very methodical. Everything is kept super tidy, super neat. Things are closed and sealed, and even if she's like unwrapping something out of like a gauze or a handkerchief, it's done in a very proper fashion. Though as she does so, and Mordecai, go ahead and make an insight, just a straight up insight.
All right. Let's see what happens.
22, huh? Okay. You are especially getting, you're getting this opportunity as a fellow tiefling. As she's doing this, just the little body language, it's not that, like the investigator works around tieflings, so there's things that she would come to understand. You are a tiefling, or at least, you grew up with them, and, and you have a tail in this. And so just as she's doing this, the way, her interesting... Her orange, like, two-pronged tail. Hey, whatever. Tails are different. It seems to indicate that she's in a good mood, is what you're picking up. Like, she's not, like, humming and, like, yeah, we're going to cast magic today. Woo! But her tail kind of just has a... I don't know, the way it swishes. Kind of has a... Like, she seems happy.
Okay. Good to know. She's in her element. She's gonna get to work on something, and hopefully something good. I'm not gonna interfere. Just observing.
I might observe as well.
I should also observe.
I'm also curious how she was able to get rid of the boot spell. Okay. Of course, she wasn't really the target of it either. It was collateral bootage. So maybe she just needed like magic wet wipes.
Some dispel wipes or something.
Dispel wipes.
Oh, yeah. They take those to your Lehman's tiny hut. There, you just kind of get and then people just waving in. Reach through. So anyway, she's unpacking. She seems kind of healthy and happy. Well, she's certainly healthy. I mean, she's got while she is dressed in a very a nice. For a tiefling, and this could back up the fact that maybe she's more fall fire than Mesomasca, because she is not in the elaborate, ornate, or the flashy, or what others. I mean, normal here, gaudy elsewhere. Very muted colors, very, just kind of neutral earth tone. Like everything seems to be like bringing down her brightness, because she is a bright orange. She has these. Not luminescent, there's not emitting light, but these fluorescent, there we go. These fluorescent yellow eyes. Like, and then her hair, just her shock of hair, is the blackest black times infinity metal. You know, metal from. There's a reference to Metalocalypse. Anyway, just super dark, and yet at the same time, compared to the other colors, makes her even brighter. And yet everything that she's wearing is a muted, like, off-white earth tone, to try and bring that down. You know, she has a beautiful form in how she looks. You know, so she's not trying to, you know, kind of do a little kind of a nudge and a wink or a lift and a squeeze, or, you know, she's not trying to like wiggle her booty at y'all or anything like that. But it's maybe different for you, Mordecai. You know, Fallfire tieflings, they're tieflings, and there's a lot of commonalities, not just the physiological ones, but for sure she would be standing out to you to be even different for a tiefling, maybe because of the way she carries herself so prim and proper, the way that she does mute herself, and instead of celebrating the cacophony of colors that tieflings tend to be, reds and blues and all this, you know, she's just blazing, you know, the beautiful yellow eyes and all this, and yet she's trying to tone down. Which almost in a way might almost be like a little rebellious streak. It would be sort of like a opposite of, you know, wearing a leather coat and getting like a lime green mohawk would be like, yeah, you're kind of like rebelling and different. I find that to be kind of hot, you know, if you're going to be my goth GF or BF. You know, in this case, you're kind of getting that. I can dig the library look. Kind of a, you know, 'cause it's different. It stands out because it is muted. Anyway, so that's context. I want to try and weave in culture in the world in which we're all playing as well into this. So yeah, she's unpacking. She has a lot of magical implements. Investigator, she does ask if she can. Do you have like a connections board? You know, where you put the strings and all this, or okay. She asks if she would be able to use that board as a part of what she is proposing to you all, but even to get feedback from those who might understand what she's going to be talking about.
By all means.
Oh, very well. I will. Let's see. Let's just do this. And she casts a spell that makes an image of your board as you left it, and she just takes that image and kind of puts it off to the side. And then she takes your items down and stacks them up in a very neat order. Like, all your pieces of paper are stacked. Your string is even like...
The cringe is real.
Your string is stacked, kind of like what you do if you go into a bank and you get the pen on the thing and you kind of like make a little snail out of it around it. No, that's what I do. Anyway. So, you know, all your tax and everything are like ordered, and it's just done very well. It's blank. And then we get to a point where she is going to be delivering what would sound like a lecture, not in a patronizing lecture, but she does seem to be an instructor, a school marm, maybe even a professor. Though Cypher not so much in the field. She's giving off that resonance to you, more like, you know, she's the educator, not really the researcher. She's the instructor. She is the one who has the office and does the paperwork and is the, you know, you do the field stuff, the more rough and tumble, you do the experiments out in the middle of the storm kind of a thing. She's the one that gives the lectures in the great halls, and she's you know, the one who might go out to a fundraiser or something along those, you know, she has the face and the laboratory mind, not necessarily the field research style.
Miss Mercury, if
yes.
I might propose something. Is this necessary?
I suppose in the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't be. Though I want to make sure that what we're discussing is laid out before you, and so that I could get proper feedback on my proposal. It's a methodology that I am prone to use.
I suppose the quick and dirty. What does it involve, and how dangerous is it?
Well, the quick and dirty, oh my. Oh, she looks like you're like, just, is this gonna turn us into spaghetti or are we gonna be okay? And she's like, I haven't even put up like a note or anything.
The longer we wait, the longer our friends are in danger, and I really don't want them to be in any more danger than they have to be.
And I was thinking about just that. I suppose that they would be in danger, though I don't know if they are in danger or any more danger than what they'd expect. From the way that they ran in there, they seemed to know what they were getting into, or might have even been prepared for this to happen. Well, so they could be in danger just as a survivalist. You, Casimir. Obviously, Casimir is just sort of... I mean, in anime terms, yeah, Casimir's sort of like that like white outline of a person, sort of in the background, or just a little blob falling. But, you, Casimir, you would be at home in the deserts of Aslandia, and yet you would still be in danger of sand dogs. Yet you know how to survive. You know that what you're going out to do. I would do that. And so Casimir seems to be agreeable. Of course, Dark Wolf, if you are disagreeable, you're welcome to offer it in chat over here. But even Casimir seems to understand the basics here of, yes, they're in danger, but they're putting themselves into a danger. She goes on to explain that there are known knowns, there are known unknowns, and then there are unknown unknowns. And then we get
known gnomes.
and no, yeah,
Known gnomes.
and then the whole other that third dimension that the gnomes just take it into, known gnomes, unknown gnomes, and unknown gnomes, and unknown unknowns even. And so she gets into, she starts talking about a whole other side topic.
Does anyone want some peanuts? I have some gnome noms.
Then I suppose my question is, what are we expected to face then? What do you propose that this portal is?
Well, that's what I needed to discuss with you all. I need to know more about what you have seen or experienced, and I might be able to help with the things that I've been able to pick up in my lifetime as well.
Suffice it to say, it's complicated.
Well, that's why we have this wonderful board here that the good investigator has allowed me. She looks over her shoulder to make sure that that image is still holding in place. That the good investigator allowed me to destruct so that we can construct these theories, and we can use this methodology as a way to also be able to reach out to Investigator Stillwater, who has a dislike of magic, or would be at a disadvantage to discussing magical topics. This way, the audience itself is reached in as best a capacity as possible by all parties involved participate. It is, as she's saying this, like, you're getting a very, like, it seems like she said this before. She's using a lot of words to describe. I would just want everyone to understand. But she's being very verbose about it.
All right.
Not nervous, but certainly practiced.
Then I suppose... First question. What do we face?
Oh, well.
Simple.
And, I guess in a way, I might... We could almost construct... this may be how many papers we end up with. I don't know. But we can make a fun little... we can make a fun little... a squish spider a plot map or something, if we want, over here. So we know that we have a burning tower, and that it appeared after... we don't have to break it down here with all the details that we know. Now, if you do have a specific question or you need clarification, bring it up, because I'm presuming that we're going off the things that we've explored. But if there's a connection you want to inquire about or to make a link, then we can, we can do so. But she's going to go through and start putting on. She's gonna just start making a list of, I guess, things that are might be connected or could somehow be. I think that's kind of like a Lokiadius horn. He had the kind of like the crown of little nubbins at the top, like Noralai did.
Oh, they're down below. I didn't see them.
Oh yeah, sorry. I scrolled down on. I scrolled down on my display here.
Okay. Now it's all making more sense. Now I can see the board.
Yep. Then we also have the metal plate that had the weird kind of whatever magical seal. That was removed. That could then lead into the armor. That's Minecraft armor. There, you got some armor pants. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. There we go. And boots, too. And tails.
Okay. So we're going to the Nether. There'll be Endermen there. Now we know.
How dare you make such an accurate presumption? So if there's other things, so she starts putting all this up so that we can start talking about this. So we know that there's a tower. The tower came about after an explosion. We have this. We have the two here. This Von Ale. We have the Loki. We have Bambardalus and his two sons, Glenn and Gary. The seal, the armor, and if there's other things. Oh yeah, there's also the. Because you had experience. If you want to bring this up with her, you would experience with the Fae, and what they've done with, I guess, their realm in water, and seems to be their thing. Put a little. Little sparkles coming out its butt. Okay. And.
Okay, I thought I knew what that was about, but now I don't.
I don't know. I guess the pixies have sparkles coming out their butt now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a little fae coming out of a sparkly water filled with words.
Okay.
And if there's other things...
Then I know. Okay, I'm fine then.
So, what I would like now is for each of you to make a straight-up investigation roll. So we have a 12.
23.
15. 23.
Fine.
And then Mordecai.
Mordecai coming in with the 9.
Mordecai, is she going to have to throw a piece of chalk at you because you're not paying attention?
Mordecai doesn't really have any questions, so...
Okay. Okay, now next up, I would like...
Mordecai's sitting in the back of the class throwing spitballs.
I'd like each of you to make a non-investigation, some kind of a knowledge. It could be Arcana, it could be Nature, it could be History. I just need some other intelligence-based skill from you.
Ta-da! Booyah!
Okay. We've already got 2.
Nice.
Wow, everybody's doing so well on this. Well, we've already got 2 Arcanas and a History. Are there other choices besides Arcana and History?
Nature, if you want, or
Religion?
Religion, yeah, religion could work.
Normally, obviously, I would prefer to do Arcana or History, because those are the ones I'm proficient in. But nobody's done Religion, so I'm going to do Religion. 12. Okay. I shouldn't have done Religion.
So you're branching out.
I mean,
this is a learning opportunity,
right?
so you're trying to mend up your weak points here.
It just still would have been just a 17 on something I was proficient in, so...
And Casimir,
okay.
in this case, would probably end up rolling in nature.
And, oh, shoot, yeah. Casimir is here.
He's
Casimir.
a nature boy who rolls nature dice.
Yep, alright. Casimir... Bloop.
I miss the fact that Celine had guidance. Truly, I do.
There we go, a 12 in nature. And let's get Casimir in on that investigation as well. 19, pretty solid there. Okay. And then lastly, I would like each of you to roll a non-perception wisdom skill that you know, could be animal handling, could be medicine, could be insight if you wish. But as she is lecturing, this is a bit of a test of your engagement and your understanding. And ultimately, this is going to distill into what, from DM to players, what would be the quick and dirty of it. Because she's.
I need to take an insight roll here too. 23. Okay. Oh, that's pretty good.
Hey, all right. All right, and Casimir will probably not nature. Or not obviously not nature. Casimir doesn't have medicine. I thought he did.
He probably
he'll
has
do survival, yeah. Ooh, look at that spicy 25.
That's some good surviving. So once we've all burned to death in the fire, Casimir will survive.
Yeah, that's all. It was dumb to go in there. And Professor, what is your wisdom skill that you would like to contribute that is not perception?
Yes, wisdom skill. Let me just take a look at my sheet real quick.
Oh, Dark Wolf, I'm sorry. I saw you in the other chat. You said animal handling. Well, I rolled survival, but it seemed to work for the best for you.
What? Wisdom, not perception.
Insight,
You know-
survival, medicine.
Yeah, I have none of those.
Just roll one of them.
Yeah, you can just roll one straight up then. If you're like, we need animal handling, roll animal handling. Why not?
No, we've had an insight, so I'll roll a medicine.
Okay.
Why not?
What does fire do to a body?
I understand. Yeah, what does fire do to a body? Well,
Fire hot.
burning, I guess. Yeah, hot, burning, super death destruction. I mean, I've seen enough fireballs to know where this is going.
I just imagine the Phil Hartman Frankenstein from Saturday Night Live where it goes, fire bad!
Yeah. If you didn't do it, you gotta do the full James Hetfield version. Fire bad, beer good!
I gotta do math. Hang on. I can't laugh and do math at the same time.
Can't laugh and do math at the same time. Get good, Matty.
Yeah, well. Alright. And now... we have... And then this is going to be a... this.
Yeah, no. This is what I get for specking into... This is what I get for...
Alright.
I hope that's not a damage roll.
Miss Mercury looks to you all, fools, you're all in one place!
Lecture damage.
Rock
200
fall.
points of psychic damage. Boredom.
The sleep spell has taken effect.
Skull. Pop, 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 pop. Fountains!
I can't soak that. I only have 129 HP, so I'm just gonna go to bed now.
All right. Well, fortunately, your all's cumulative rolls surpassed the total of what Miss Mercury was throwing to you here. So you have on this average, you have exceeded what she was able to deliver, and so in fact you did so by a pretty good margin. We have 9, carry the 1, 18, 25. Oh yeah, by over 50 points. So what I'll do is for your performance here as a group, because this is reflecting conversation. This is going to take us until the sun is starting to go down, if not already down. From the making the connecting and getting all this together here. But you have done a very good job in exceeding what she was trying to deliver to you. And so this is what she proposes to you all. And if any of you want to bring up something else, you certainly may. Though she says, as for getting into the tower itself, the wall is physical. You could take down the physical wall, and it would still be this barrier that was, that people had been seen going into and apparently immolating themselves. So it's just acting as a physical barrier for others. So the wall itself doesn't seem to be an issue unless you got to use a spell like Pass Wall if you don't want to actually break the wall. And for Jaden, you're talking about like Pass Wall. It's a spell that XYZ.
Lets you pass a wall. It's pretty straightforward.
Yep, makes a big tunnel through a wall.
So
that's what it says on the tin.
Getting through that is
I know that spell. We call it dynamite.
Except the rest of the wall stays up.
Though it does seem that there needs to be some kind of a resonance in order to actually gain access to the interior of this dimensional wall. That she'll call it here, and this key. Did you tell her what left the key, or just that you have it? She knows the key exists, but did you give her details about it at all? That a little phantom silver dragon took you on a
Honestly,
series of
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you.
Did tell her about the phantom silver dragon, but
yeah. I mean, I'd be happy to tell the story. I mean, I was pretty much the one who did most of that chasing down anyway, so I would be happy to tell her the story.
Okay.
About how Mr. Halver was a silver dragon, and then after he died, then that's when the tower went up in fire, and then there was this little tiny silver dragon, and he kept leaving all these clues everywhere, and we followed the clues, and the clues all made the words that said Vonalay, and then once we had them all, then this appeared, and it was actually like an actual dragon. But maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just a really good illusion. And then somebody killed the dragon, and I was collateral damage to that. And then it turned into this little key, and now we have it.
She seems taken aback by the revelation of Mr. Halver as a silver dragon. She heard of Mr. Halver, although as you're describing him, like she knew Mr. Halver by a different name. But what you say is like, oh, that reminds me of so and so. Like, no, that was.
Did you know him as Delis? That was how I knew him at first too, but that wasn't the name I liked the best. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, she between the fork on the end of her tail, she produces a little blue flame. I always wanted to get him to arcane sigil that for me. So yeah, she does seem to know of that character.
It's probably
as well.
too late for that now. Although I've seen his arcane sigil, I might be able to duplicate it for you.
So you get into detail there, and so he said it sounds like then in this case, and I'm not necessarily speaking directly roleplay voice and demeanor as Miss Mercury, but it sounds like he was leading you to a point by trying to prepare you, by trying to challenge you, to get you to look around and to even think differently, as it seems that your experiences in the Fey place, this out of a realm of illusion, and things aren't as they seem and as they're different. In his own way, he seems to have given you at least partially a key if not preparation for what you might be getting into. And ultimately, the key, a key isn't good without the lock, and the one who might be holding the lock, or who might even be the door herself, would be this Von Allais character, as she seems to have a connection with this realm. In fact, if she was seen running away from Mr. Halver's hovel, no, I messed it up on 2. Anyway, from Mr. Halver's hovel, the place that blew up.
You should have only said it one time.
There, then that might even intone if there are two spell users, like magic users, especially one as nefarious as this Grimhilder character. They might have even been the one responsible for this breach, or for something going on, and they were caught up in it. So if you track her down, she might be able to take you through this dimensional wall. Then she's going to bring up, I found this seal on the inside of Jaden's armor, and this armor is very old armor. It seems to have power, and this seal is what I believe to be a curse, and I was able to remove that curse so that Jaden could wear it without any reservation, so that she can continue her job and survive and excel at it. And when I was studying the curse, I got a similar vibe from this seal that I did from the tower, meaning that it could be resonant, and that it might be the case that I can make a key using this seal. However, if the armor that was made from or for or whatever is in conjunction with this tower, the seal would need to be placed onto the armor, and then Jaden would be able to act as the would be able to act as the key instead of Grimhilder.
But that curse means that Jaden would never be able to take off her armor again.
That could be the case. If not again, and you probably wouldn't want it to be off anyway if you're going to be in this realm, because you might end up needing a resonance in order to stay there. This is conjecture. You might need a resonance to stay there. And on the way out, maybe it could be possible to extract Jaden from the armor, or to destroy or remove the curse again.
Well, I don't know how the curse was taken off the first time.
Alright, let's just nail
But we
this
might be able
down.
to track her down. She's just a person like the rest of us. I'm sure we can find her. We
She's
have to.
probably not here, right?
Well, that doesn't mean we can't find her wherever she is.
Do we want to take more time and look for her?
Well, no, but I don't think she's lost, that's all.
I don't think so either. Eventually we'll have to confront her at some point, but...
And maybe
really
we could...
what
Maybe we could get her to come out. Like, I could send her sendings and taunt her, and maybe then she'd get frustrated, come out to fight.
I mean, there's always that.
We have lots of choices.
She does, unless, I'm sorry, does Jaden have anything to bring up? Because I saw you were going to say something.
Don't worry about it. We'll move on.
Okay. If you got to say something, let me know. So going off of what is still here, if Grimhilder was going around with Lokiadius, you have a piece of Lokiadius, and Miss Mercury indicates that she has the ability to try and check in on people. And as you have a piece of this person, you might be able to find Grimhilder by finding Loki.
If Loki's still alive. We've all been kind of assuming that he's not, but we don't know that for sure.
Well, we could do that and see if that's something that we could do. If, for whatever reason, we're not close enough, or the spell fails, or something of that sort, to locate Loki and find her by proxy, then we're wanting to go into the realm, right? We're wanting to go find Bambardalis.
And there's another option too. If I can get a magic mirror or something, I can just check in on Grimhilder directly. I mean, Mr. Halver had one, but
that's in the tower.
It got lost. Yeah, well, I don't know what happened to it. But if we had something else like it...
If you're talking about scrying, that's something that Miss Mercury would be able to accomplish.
Okay. Because... Okay.
Well, we have first-hand knowledge as well.
Yeah.
Knowledge of them, the horn, it looks very good to be able to...
The scry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of the tower as well, in the information review, just as you went to the area where the Fae lived, it had its own environment. Things were and weren't conventional in a way that it worked. And you also ended up being in a different place and time while you were there. And she can only conjecture what could happen if you breach this magical wall and go into this other place. Will you lose time again? Will you gain time? Or what environmental effect would happen to you as if you're there? I mean, it was a nice, cool, damp underground area, but what if the inside of that fiery tower is like the outside and it's on fire? Are you prepared for the time and for your own needs? Will you eat? I don't know, do you have a change of clothes? Do you have... yeah, she's kind of going down a list of, if you're going to go in there, what are you going to do for food or water? What happens if you do experience some sort of a time lapse that's different than what you could expect? And how does the environment, what will the environment have an effect on you? You know, just as the Fae could convert you by touch of the crystal, as maybe if you want to say it as a corruption, then there could be a corrupting force there as well, or a way that these creatures that live there will propagate, much how the Fae propagate.
Well, I can protect one person at a time from any kind of fiendish thing. That's really all I can do. What are you suggesting, Miss Mercury, that we do to prepare? You seem to be intimately familiar with the kinds of dangers.
Perhaps various potions or scrolls. Pack a good meal. Bring water. I'm sure Casimir could go into what you might need in order to survive a rugged, maybe a hot desert-like environment. Better than someone like myself.
As far as spells and potions go, is there a store in town?
Yeah, this is a big city. You'd be able to find various... I mean, we're probably not talking like high-level stuff, but I mean, you know, some antitoxins, like low-level curatives, maybe some, you know, low-level spell scrolls, something along those lines.
Fire resistance potions?
I would say those would be available. If we're talking about a culture that has grown up around tieflings that have the innate ability to get upset at someone and set them on fire, you know, things that reduce fire will be more prevalent, yes.
So
I'm usually more on the supply side of fire.
Yeah.
But
supply side mageonomics here.
But
Mordecai would be interested in finding potions of fire resistance and protection from evil.
Yeah, I mean, potions of resist fire are always a good choice. But, you know, if it's just too uncomfortable in there, we can always put up the hut. And it's comfortable inside the hut no matter what the temperature is outside. So I don't think we're going to have to worry too much about
comfortability,
about heat exposure, except over the short term. I'm more concerned about... I mean, it's true, we don't know if... I mean, in the Fae world, we didn't have to eat, but we don't know if that's true in the Devil world. Yeah, so we don't know how that works out.
As well to be brought up, if Bambardalus was at some point, I guess, a consort with a denizen of this realm or tower, I mean, he himself does not appear to be changed, or maybe if his heart was blackened by her to do nefarious deeds and he grew a conscience at some point and broke away, hence becoming an Oathbreaker here. Then, you know, and then of course we've seen his boys have a very, a more physically manifested mutation by being these half bisected, half tieflings, in a sense, or maybe even just like half pure fiend, half pure human. Might be an even better way to describe them here. There does seem to be, if not a moral, maybe a moral erosion or challenge, but there could also be physiological ones that can take place as well. And she says, well, you know, maybe the crystals were the Fae thing. That moral challenge could be the threat in this realm. Maybe that's how they make more of them. You just have to change.
Then we get in quickly and we get out quickly.
But it is conjecture there. And then, so let's see. 3 ways that she can propose to enter, though she says there might be others that you could think of. And she could facilitate and prepare, trying to make some connections. Do you have any, either in or out of character, do you have questions that I can answer as Miss Mercury / the DM while we're putting stuff up on the Investigator's corkboard?
Just want to get in quick, be protected, get out quick.
Yeah, I guess the main question I would have is, how do we know what it takes to get back? Because getting out of the Fey realm was never actually all that hard. We just had to want it. But for this realm, how do we know? Is there like a rope that we follow our way back from, or how does it work?
Bambardalus was able to get out, and the Sons, so there must be a way to get out.
But Bambardalus, I mean, he's a lot more experienced.
He also had a way to get in too.
Yeah, there's also that.
Well, our get out ticket is find him.
Okay, well that's the whole point of going in, so it sounds like a pretty good system.
Sounds like a pretty good plan, right?
Just don't forget how to cast Tiny Hut.
If you want to go to the moon, just make sure none of our oxygen tanks blow up on the launch. Sounds good. Let's do it.
Exactly.
It's an airtight plan.
Until the seal.
As long as it's still airtight, the plan is airtight.
I saw that look, Derek. Don't you look at me in that tone of voice. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. There's a lot on the board, and if there's 2 blank pieces of paper, that's fine. There doesn't have to be anything else up here. But this is a good Q&A. But I need to get up and take a personal break for personal relief as well as something to nom on. So why don't we call a 10-15 minute break here, and we'll go do what we got to do. We'll come back, and if you want to have more pegboard conversation here, and either that or you can go and start prepping, making plans when we enter the back 9 of the session here tonight. But before we break, real quick, Lethality, do you have Gathering of Nerds in some form? If not D&D, then are you going to be playing some games tonight? Do we have the 3 a.m. cutoff?
I think so. Considering I wasn't on last week due to them playing Minecraft and me just not being interested, I don't actually know what it is that they're doing at the moment.
How dare you not be interested? Get out! You're banished.
I'm pretty sure we have something going on tonight.
Okay. Well, hey, if you want to go chat, that's fine. I got to get up and take my break, so we'll be back in a little bit, everyone.